Ceiling protidum y vog skiaris and ssd of plef agi resum bt she died in canum y had recorded about dft. In kiki aro virum y qard. Numum abioti taut tita shidi eshiar wushia wukia I plus shli op offarimota omatars. Tooth. The champagne flute slipped from my fingers and shattered against the marble floor of the Ritz, ca Ralton ballroom. The sound cut through the chatter like a gunshot. I watched the bubbles fizz across the white stone. A waiter rushed over with a towel. I didn't look at him, I was looking at the stage. The big screen behind the podium glowed with Tiara's face, my daughter-in-law. Her teeth were perfect. Her hair was blown out to a shine that caught the chandeliers. She was holding my script, my words, my grandmother's memory, and she was smiling. And that's why I believe heritage isn't just about what we inherit, she said, her voice dripping through the speakers, dew arm and polished as buttercream. It's about what we choose to pass forward. That's the herod of my new CO book. That's the soul of this foundation tonight. The crowd applauded. 200 people in black ties and silk gowns, the mayor, the city council. Every woman in my book club who had stopped calling me back. They clinked their glasses. They beamed at her. She glowed. She was the sun in this room and I was standing in the back, a 62-year-old woman in a navy dress I'd bought at the Macy's clearance rack, holding a shattered champagne flute and feeling the cold seep through my stockings. Are you alright? The waiter's hand touched my elbow. Buzzed hair. He smelled like lemon polish and sweat. I'm fine, I said. My voice came out flat. I stepped away from him and the glass. I didn't want to look at the mess on the floor. I wanted to look at Brian, my son. He was sitting at the head table. His arm was around Tara's empty chair. He was clapping too. His face was red and happy. He looked proud. He looked like a fool. The screen changed to a slideshow. Photos of Tara in her kitchen. White subway tile copper pots. The Effa armhouse sink she'd cheroj to my credit cia art. She was holding a pie, my cherry pie. The moonlay. She had taken my recipe and my video and my goddamn grandmother and turned it into a book deal. You made it. I turned. My sister-in-law Menarje Rhett stood behind me. She had a glass of white wine in one hand. Her lipstick was too red. Her eyes were scanning the room like she was looking for someone better to talk to. Of course I made it, I said. I was told to come. T.A. mentioned you were helping with the speech notes. That was so generous of you. I stared at her. She didn't know. She didn't know anything. She thought I was the doting old mother-in-law playing secret awry to the star. She thought I had given those words away like Suga RCO Kais at a church bake sale. Generous, I repeated. Emirat frowned. She tilted her head. She was waiting for me to say something else, something normal. Something that fit the picture of the grateful retired teacher, who had finally gotten a seat at the COO table. You look tired, she said. I said. She nodded like that made sense and drifted away toward the bar. I watched her go. My hands were shaking. I pressed my palms against my thighs. The fabric of my dress was thick. I could feel my pulse thudding through my fingertips. The slideshow ended. Tiara walked back to the table. She kissed Brian on the cheek. He whispered something in her ear and she laughed. Tinkling. Manufactured. I had her art it every Sunday for 4 years. It was the laugh she used when she was winning. The MC came back to the podium. A man in a tuxedo with a bad tan and too much hair gel. He tapped the microphone. The room hushed. What a moving tribute to family and food, he said. And now we have a special surprise. A few words from the woman who inspired it all. Please welcome Tira's mother-in-law, Emiratha Collins. My stomach dropped. I felt it fall through the floor. The room spun. Every face turned toward the back of the ballroom. The spotlight swung. It hit me squarely in the chest. I blinked. The light was blinding. I could smell my own perfume. Lily of the Valley. It was all I could smell. It was all I could feel. Tiara was staring at me from the head table. Her smile was wide. Her eyes were hungry. She had set a trap. She was putting me on stage so I could be wheeled out like a show pony. The sweet old lady, the inspiration. The grateful little mother who had nothing to her name but her son's mercy. I walked for. My heels clicked on the marble. Click. Click. The spotlight followed me. I didn't look at anyone. I looked at the podium. At the microphone. At the screen behind it where Tiara's perfect face had just been. I climbed the 3 steps. My knee popped. I gripped the edges of the podium and pulled myself up. The wood was smooth cold. I could smell the pledge they'd used to polish it. Tiara called from the table. She was on her feet now. Don't be shy. Tell them how you helped me. She said it like she was doing me a favor. Like she was throwing a bone to the old dog. The microphone hummed. I tapped it with my finger. The sound echoed through the ballroom. I helped you, I said. My voice was thin. It crackled through the speakers. I helped you because I thought you were family. I thought you were my daughter. The room was quiet. I could hear the ice melting in someone's glass at the front table. I could hear the kitchen door swing shut behind the wall. I could hear Brian's chair scrape against the floor. What are you doing? Brian stood up. His face was redder now. Panic flooded behind his eyes. I'm telling the truth, Brian, I said. For once Tiara laughed. That tinkling laugh, it was louder now. Amratha, you're not making any sense. You're confused. You've been so stressed lately. Why don't you sit down and have some water? I looked at her. I saw the woman who had come into my house 3 years ago. The woman who had sat in my kitchen and watched me pull out my grandmother's recipe box. The woman who had asked me 1,000 questions and written down all the answers. The woman who had started a YouTube channel 2 months later with the exact same cadence. The exact same jokes, the exact same stories. You stole my scripts, I said. The words landed like a slap. I heard a woman gasp na-ar. I heard the air go out of the room, Brian said. His voice was sharp, commanding. The voice he used when he was trying to control a situation. We're not doing this here. Doing what? I said. My voice was stronger now. The microphone amplified it. Doing the truth. She took my word for word. She took my grandmother's cherry pie. She took my story about baking in the dark. She took my line about fighting the butter into submission. She took everything and she told the world I was a copycat. The blood drained from Brian's face. He looked at Tiara. She was shaking her head. She was good at that. The head shake, the soft denial. The little shrug that said, bless her Hayard. She's just jealous. Your mother has a history of this, Tiara said. She said it loud enough for the front tables to hear. She's always been competitive with me. She thinks I took her online success, but I worked for mine. She can't handle that I'm more successful. Mum Arj Ret was staring at me. Her mouth was open. The wine glass dangled from her fingers. The mayor leaned toward his wife and whispered something behind his hand. I dug my fingernails into my palms. I felt the crescents bite into the skin. It hurt. Good, pain was real, pain was truth. I have proof, I said. Brian took a step toward the stage. His shoes clicked on the marble. Mom, stop. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing us. Embarrassing you. I laughed. It came out a rosh broken. You let her tell everyone I was nothing. You stood there at Sunday dinner and told your law partners that she was the gift, the vision. She was spinning gold out of thin air. You told them I was just an old lady who jotted things down on post-its. Brian's face crumpled. He remembered. I could see it in his eyes. The dinner, the pot roast. The way he had patted her back and called me sweet. That was months ago, he said. It was yesterday, I said. It's every day. Walk toward the stage. Her heels were higher than mine. She stood at the base of the steps and looked up at me. Her chin lifted. Her smile was gone now. What was left was cold. The mask had slipped. You don't have proof, she said. Because I didn't steal anything. You sent me notes, you sent me ideas. You volunteered. You were happy to help. I have texts. I have everything, so do I said. Her eyes flickered, just for a second, a tiny crack in the air more. What are you talking about? Brian said. He was beside her now. His hand was on her elbow. He was defending her. He was always defending her. I looked down at my purse. It was sitting on the empty seat beside the podium, a black leather bag worn at the edges. Inside it was a hard drive, 2 terabytes, 7 years of draft, 7 years of recordings, time-stamped files, storyboard. The raw video of me standing in my kitchen with bad lighting and a nervous voice, saying my words into a camera that no one ever watched. I didn't touch it, not yet. The room was waiting. 200 people, all of them silent. All of them watching the old woman with the broken champagne flute and the ripped stockings. If you have proof, show it, Tira said. She folded her arms. Her bracelets clinked. Go ahead. Show everyone what a liar you array. My hand moved toward the bag. My fingers brushed the leather. I could feel the air drive through the lining, the cold plastic, the weight of it. Brian saw my hand. His eyes went wide. Mom, don't. Whatever you think you have, this isn't the way. Then what is the way? I said. What's the way when your son calls you delusional? What's the way when your daughter-in-law takes your life's work and calls it her own and tells everyone you're crazy? He had no answer. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. The room was suffocating. The chandeliers were too bright. The champagne was too I could feel every pulse in my temples. I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. Tiara walked up the steps. She stood beside me at the podium. She was close enough that I could smell her perfume. White florals, expensive. Not lily of the valley, something French. something she had bought with my credit card. You're making a spectacle of yourself, she whispered. Her voice was low, only I could hear it. You're going to lose everything. You're going to lose your son. You're going to lose your dignity. And when you walk out of here, everyone is going to remember you as the bitter old woman who couldn't stand to see someone else succeed. I looked at her. I looked at her perfect teeth and her blown out hair and her cold. I looked at my son standing at the bottom of the steps. His face was wet, he was crying. He was crying and he was still standing next to her. I pulled my hand out of my purse, empty, smiled. That's what I thought, she said. I stepped away from the podium. I walked down the 3 steps. My knee popped again. The spotlight followed me. I walked past Brian. He reached out. His fingers brushed my arm. I pulled away. I'm going to the parking lot, I said. Mum, wait. Brian stared. I didn't wait. I walked through the ballroom. Past man RGA Ret. Past the women from my book club, who had stopped returning my calls. I pushed through the heavy double doors and into the hallway. The carpet was thick, muffled. The air was cold. It smelled like industrial cleaner. I leaned against the wall. My chest heaved. My hands were shaking. My palms were wet. I looked down at them. The crescents were still there, red, angry. The skin was broken. I reached into my purse. My fingers found the hard drive. I pulled it out. I held it in my trembling hands. The plastic was warm from my body heat. I didn't need the ballroom. I didn't need the spotlight. The hard drive was my gun. And I had just decided to pull the trigger on my own terms. I walked to the end of the hall. There was a fire exit door, red sign, push BR. I pushed it open. The alarm didn't sound. It was a fire door, not a security door. The city building code didn't say about drama. The parking lot was empty. The valets were inside watching the gala. I walked to my car, a 10-year-old Honda. The door creaked when I opened it. I sat in the driver's seat. The leather was cracked. It smelled like my old coffee mug and the pine air freshener I'd hung from the mirror. I closed the door. I locked it. I sat in. My hands were still shaking. I placed the AR drive on the passenger seat. I stared at it. I pulled out my phone. The screen glowed. I found Linda's number, my attorney, the one who had handled Richard's estate, the one who answered my call at p.m. on a Saturday. She answered on the second ring. No, I said. My voice cracked. But I will be. What happened? She put me on stage. She tried to make me look crazy. She said I had no proof. Did you show her? Not yet. Good. Don't. Not until we're ready. I closed my eyes. I saw the ballroom, the chandeliers, the 200 faces, Tira's smirk, Brian's tiling. I said, I'm filing tomorrow. I want to cease and desist. I want a copyright suit. I want to take everything she built and burn it to the ground. Linda was quiet. I could hear her breathing. That's going to cost you, she said. That's going to cost you your family. It's already cost me my family, I said. I'm just taking back the rest. I hung up. I sat in the parking lot. The AR drive sat on the passenger seat, black and silent, holding 7 years of my life. I started the car, the engine coughed. I pulled out of the parking lot. The Ritz Carlton glittered in my rear view mirror. I drove home on empty roads. My hands steadied the wheel. My knuckles were white. I walked into my kitchen, midnight. The house was silent. I went to the garage. I opened the metal filing cabinet. I pulled out the manila folder labeled Vogi Kobarkini DRFTS. I added the R drive to it. I closed the cabinet. I looked at myself in the reflection of the garage window. Tired eyes. A navy dress with a pulled thread on the shoulder. I pressed my palm against the cold metal of the cabinet. I made a promise to the woman in the glass. I was done being invisible. I was done being quiet. I was done being the old lady who jotted down notes on post-its. She wanted proof. I had proof. I had every draft, every edit, every late night TAR over my keyboard. I had the metadata, I had the timelines, I had the witnesses, and in 2 weeks, at her charity gala, I was going to show the world what she really was. I walked back into the house. I poured myself a glass of water. I drank it standing at the sink. The house was empty. Brian was still at the hotel, probably still crying, probably still holding her hand. I didn't see Ari. I went to my bedroom. I opened my lap. I stared at a new document. I typed one sentence. Timeline of theft. The cursor blinked at me. I started typing dates, file names, metadata. I didn't stop until my eyes burned. I didn't stop until the sun came up. I didn't stop until I had built a case so airtight that not even my son, with his HARVAR degree and his big firm salary and his blind devotion, could TAR at EBRD. I saved the document. I closed the laptop. I laid my head on the pillow. In the morning, I would call Linda. I would steer out the machinery. I would do it legally, cleanly, thoroughly. No violence, no scenes. Just facts, just the truth. I slept 3 hours. The sun came up gray through the kitchen window. I poured coffee into the same mug I'd used for 15 years. The ceramic was chipped on the rim. I ran my thumb over the rough edge while I read at the laptop screen. The document was still open. Timeline of theft. I had 57 entries. 57 separate instances where Ra had taken my words and called them hers. The cherry pie, the almond cake, the lavender shortbread. The story about my grandmother's sour cream frosting. The line about patience being the secret ingredient. I scrolled to the bottom. My eyes burned. My neck. I closed the laptop and walked to the garage. The filing cabinet was a gray metal monster I'd bought at a garage sale in Etienne-Jobai-Dosherba. Richard had bolted it to the wall. He said a man needed a safe place for his important papers. I didn't have important papers then. I had recipes, I had school photographs. I had a son who still called me mom and meant it. I pulled the key from the magnet on the side. The lock clicked. The second drawer slid open. The folder was where I'd left it. Thick. Heavy. The edges were soft from years of handling. I carried it to the workbench, my workbench. The one with the skierad wooden top and the pegbow RD full of tools I never used. I spread the contents across the surface. Printed scripts, dozens of them. I'd rotted printing everything after my computer crashed in Ertianin. I lost 3 months of work. I never trusted a hard drive again. I printed every draft, every revision, every edit. I kept them all. I picked up the first page dated July Sanrad. Ertianin the cherry pie script. Handwritten notes in the margins. Add more about the moon. Mention grandma's kitchen. The gas lamp. I'd written those notes in red pen. The ink had faded to pink. I flipped through the stack. August Shuda, a revised draft September errand. September Shreth, the storyba, stick figures drawn in pencil, camera positions, lighting cues. I'd drawn a little sun in the corner of every page, a habit from my teaching days. Good work deserved a gold star. I heard the front door open. The hinges squeaked. I'd been meaning to oil them for 6 months.
You up, RJ Rat?
Of course it was MRGA Rat. She had a key. I'd given it to her after Richard died. She was supposed to water the plants when I traveled. I hadn't traveled in 5 years. I slid the folder back into the cabinet. I closed the drawer. The lock clicked. Kitchen, I called. She came through the garage door. Her heels clicked on the concrete. She was wearing a pink tracksuit and carrying a bakery box. The smell of sugar and yeast preceded her. I brought croissants, she said. From the French place on Elm. I know you don't eat breakfast. I took the box. The paper was, you didn't have to. I wanted to. She sat on the stool at the workbench. She folded her hands on the counter. She was waiting. I could see it in the way she tilted her head, the way her eyes kept rotting to the filing cabinet. What happened last night? She said. I opened the box. The croissants were golden. Flaky. I broke a piece off and put it in my mouth. The butter melted on my tongue. What do you think happened? I think you made a scene. I think Tara is furious. I think Brian called me at 6 in the morning crying. He called you. He needed someone to talk to. You weren't answering your phone. I looked at my phone. It was on the counter. 6 missed calls. 3 from Ra. I'd silenced it after I got home. I was sleeping. Were you? She reached for a croissant. She didn't break it. She held it like a doll. Ra says you accused her of stealing your writing. She says you stood up in front of everyone and called her a thief. She is a thief. Rga Ret's eyes widened. Her fingers tightened on the croissant. Rada. That's a serious accusation. It's not an accusation. It's a fact. I have proof. Proof of what? You write recipes. Everyone writes recipes. She made them popular. That's not stealing. That's adaptation. I read at her. This was the woman who had come to my house every Christmas for 30 years. The woman who had held my hand at Richard's funeral. The woman who had watched me raise Brian alone. She was looking at me like I was a stranger. Adaptation, I said. The word tasted sour. Rai is an influencer. That's what influencers do. They take ideas and make them bigger. It's not personal. It's personal when they take your grandmother's story and call it their own. It's personal when they take your exact words and put them in a video and say they wrote them. It's personal when they tell everyone you're a copycat. Rga Ret set the croissant down. She dusted the sugar from her fingers. Ratha, I'm just saying. Brian is devastated. He wants to talk to you. He said you walked out without giving him a chance. A chance to do what? Believe me, he's never believed me. He looked at me last night like I was the problem, like I was the one ruining everything. He loves you. He loves her more. Rga Ret didn't argue with that. She couldn't. We both knew it was true. She left after 20 minutes. She hugged me at the door. Her arms were stiff, the hug was mechanical. She was on Brian's side, she always was. Blood and loyalty and the weight of family tradition. She'd take the side of the happy couple over the crazy old lady every time. I locked the door behind her. I went back to the garage. I opened the filing cabinet again. I pulled out a different folder this time, labeled Cheapcast. I spread them across the workbench. Credit CARD statements, bank records. The joint CARD I'd signed for Brian when he was in law school. The one he'd never removed me from. The one Tierra used for her research. I ran my finger down the charges. December 18, a first-class ticket to Nashville. I remembered that trip. She'd told me she was visiting a friend. She came back with a story about an old CO book she'd found. The COO book I had shown her the month before, the one from the library basement. I pulled out my laptop. I opened the browser. I typed T.R. Collins plagiarism into the CAR. Nothing, she was clean, she was CA refull. She never used the same words twice in public. She only took the ideas and rewrote them just enough to avoid detection. But I had the originals. I had the timestamps. I had the emails I'd sent to Sia Rawl in Minnesota. I pulled up my email account. I scrolled to September 6th. The subject, Sherry Pie script draft. I opened the attachment. The file was there. The full script. Every word, the same jokes, the same cadence. The same story about baking under the gas lamp. I looked at the timestamp on the email. Ow. The same time I'd recorded the video. I had 2 pieces of evidence with matching timestamps. I had a chain of custody. I called Linda. I need to send you files, I said. I need you to look at them and tell me if I have a case. I already told you. You have a case. The question is whether you want to pursue it. I do. Martha, I have to ask you something. Are you prepared to lose your family? Because that's what's going to happen. Brian is going to choose her. He's already chosen her. A lawsuit is going to make it permanent. I lost my family the day she sat in my kitchen and wrote down everything I said. I'm just making it official. Linda was quiet for a long moment. I could hear her typing. Then she said, send me everything. I'll draft the cease and desist. We'll file the copyright claim by the end of the week. Not yet. What do you mean? I want to serve her in public, at the gala. The Heritage of Hope event, that's 2 weeks away. I know. Mimrata. That's theatrical. I'm a storyteller. Theatrical is what I do. I hung up. I looked at the receipts on the workbench. The first-class tickets, the expensive dinners, the kitchen renovation she'd charged to my CARD without asking. I had financial leverage too. She'd committed fraud. She'd used my credit CARD without permission. That was a criminal offense. I heard a CAR pull into the driveway. I looked out the garage window. Brian's silver BMW, he was alone. I walked to the front door. I opened it before he could knock. Brian. He looked terrible. His eyes were red. His shirt was wrinkled. He hadn't shaved. He was holding a paper bag from the diner on Main Street. I brought you breakfast, he said. Extra hash browns. You used to like those. I still like those. He stepped inside. He looked around the house like he was seeing it for the first time. The worn carpet, the faded curtains. The cross-stitch sampler I'd made in Itian. One need to talk, he said. I nodded. I walked to the kitchen. He followed. I poured him a cup of coffee. He didn't drink it. He set it on the counter and put his hands on the edge of the sink. His shoulders were shaking. Mom, I don't know what happened last night. I don't know what you think you saw, but Tiara is my wife. I have to stand by her. Even if she's a thief. Even if. He turned around. His face was wet. She's all I have. She's my partner, my future. I can't just throw that away because of some old scripts. Some old scripts. I said the words slowly, one by one. Those scripts were my life, Brian. They were my grandmother. They were my memories. She took them and put her name on them and told the world I was nothing. You're not nothing. Then act like it. He looked at me. His eyes were pleading. He was asking me to back down. He was asking me to be the bigger person, to let it go, to forgive and forget, and let him have his happy life with his beautiful wife, and his beautiful house and his beautiful lie. I said, can't what? Can't let it go. Can't pretend it didn't happen. Can't sit back and watch her take everything I built. He slammed his hand on the counter. The coffee mug jumped. The liquid sloshed over the rim. Everything you built, Mom. You're a retired teacher. You have a blog with 200 followers. You don't have a brand. You don't have a career. You have nothing to lose. I felt the words like a slap. My jaw tightened. My palms pressed flat against the countertop. You're right, I said. I have nothing to lose. That's the point. He stared at me. He realized what he'd done. The apology formed on his lips. But I didn't want it. I didn't need it. I have proof, Brian, I said. I have every draft, every video, every timestamp. I have emails. I have witnesses. I can prove she stole from me. Then why haven't you done anything? Because I was hoping you'd see the truth. I was hoping you'd wake up and realize who she really is. He shook his head. He was crying again. The tears ran down his cheeks and dripped onto his wrinkled shirt. I can't, he said. I can't see what you see. All I see is my wife. All I see is the woman I love. Then go home to her, I said. And don't come back. He left. The door slammed. His BMW started. I heard the tires crunch on the gravel. I walked to the garage. I opened the filing cabinet. I pulled out the manila folder. I took the hard drive out of my purse and added it to the stack. I had everything I needed. The scripts, the receipts, the timestamps, the witnesses, the legal advice, the planned 2 weeks, the Heritage of Hope Gala. A room full of the most important people in the city. A stage, projector, hard drive. I walked back to the kitchen. I started making a list. The list was long. The list was detailed. The list was my roadmap to justice. On the top of the page, I wrote one word. Below it, I wrote, collect all hard copies organized by date. Number each piece of evidence. Make a backup. Make 3 back. Store 1 at Linda's office. Store 1 in the safety deposit box. Keep 1 in the purse. I wrote for 2 hours. I didn't stop. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I just wrote. When I was done, I folded the paper and put it in my apron pocket. I walked to the garage. I looked at the filing cabinet. I had 7 years of work in that drawer. 7 years of my grandmother. 7 years of my memories. 7-year life. She could take the credit. She could take the money. She could take the followers. She could take my son. She could take my dignity. But she could not take my truth. I pulled out my phone. I opened the camera app. I pressed record. I looked at the screen. My face was tired. My eyes were red. My hair was a mess. 2 weeks, I said to the camera. I'm going to show them everything. I stopped the recording. I saved the file. I dated it. I added it to the folder on my laptop. I walked back inside. The house was quiet. The croissants were still on the counter. I broke one in half. I ate it standing over the sink. My phone buzzed. Brian. I sent it to voicemail. It buzzed again. Voicemail. Then it buzzed a 3rd time. A number I didn't recognize. I answered. Is this Mayretha Collins? A man's voice. Formal. This is attorney David Weiss. I'm representing Tara Collins. I'm calling to inform you that we are refiling a defamation claim against you. Your statements last night caused significant damage to my client's reputation. We are seeking a retraction and compensation for damages. I felt the blood drain from my face. My grip tightened on the phone. You listening? He said. I'm listening, I said. Good. I advise you to cease any further communication with my client. Any future statements will be used in court against you. I hung up. I stood in the empty kitchen. The phone was warm in my hand. My heart was pounding. She was striking back. She was fighting dirty. She was trying to silence me. I walked to the filing cabinet. I opened the drawer. I looked at the folder. She wanted a do-ar. She was going to get one. I pulled out my laptop. I opened the document. Timeline of theft. I added one more entry. October Shret, the defamation threat. Attorney David Weiss. I closed the laptop. I locked the filing cabinet. I took my keys and my purse and the hard drive. I drove to Linda's office. I didn't call first. I just showed up. She was in her conference room. She saw my face and told her PA legal to leave. Rotha, what happened? She filed a defamation claim. She's trying to silence me. Linda's face went hard, her eyes in a rout. She's making a mistake. I know. I'm going to file our copyright claim today. By the end of the week, she's going to receive a cease and desist that will make her lawyer's head spin. Can we do it now? Linda looked at me. She saw the fire in my eyes. She nodded. Let's go, she said. I sat in her office for 3 hours. We drafted the documents. We attached the evidence. We built a case that was airtight. By the time I left, the copyright claim was filed with the court. The cease and desist was on its way to T.A.'s attorney. I walked out of Linda's office into the bright October sun. The leaves were turning. The air was cold. I breathed it in. It hurt. The cold always hurt now. But I didn't see Era. I had taken the first step. I had filed the paperwork. I had stay-rotted the machinery. In 2 weeks, I would finish it. The days after the cease and desist passed in a blur of silence. No calls from Brian. No visits from Memgret. No texts. The house settled into a stillness that felt heavier than noise. I woke each morning to the same gray light through the kitchen windows. I made coffee. I drank it black. I read at the calendar on the wall. 12 days until the gala. 11:10. I kept my routine. I went to the grocery store on Tuesday. I bought chicken and broccoli and the cheap wine I liked. The cashier asked me how my family was doing. I told her they were fine. She didn't believe me. I could see it in the way her eyes flicked to my empty cart. No one shopped for a family with one chicken breast and a bottle of wine. I went to the library on Wednesday. Jenny was at the front desk. She smiled when she saw me. That smile faded when she got a closer look at my face. Mrs. Collins, are you okay? I'm fine. Jenny, just tired. She didn't push. She was a good kid. She knew when to keep her mouth shut. I went to the basement. I pulled the old newspapers from the archive, the ones I'd shown Tara last Christmas, the ones she'd used for her research. I scanned them again. I took photos of every page. I built a visual timeline to accompany the written one. On Thursday, I drove to the bank. I opened the safety deposit box. The clerk was a young man with a ponytail who called me and asked if I needed help finding the right key. I told him I knew what I was doing. I placed a copy of the R drive inside, the second copy, the one that would survive if the house burned down. On Friday, I called Cyril, my friend in Minnesota, the one who had received the email with the cherry pie script. I've been meaning to call you. I saw that video, the one from the gala. Someone filmed it on their phone and posted it to Facebook. My stomach dropped. It's on Facebook. It's everywhere. People are talking about it. Tara's trying to get it taken down, but it keeps popping back up. I'm okay. I need you to do me a favor. Anything. I need you to write a statement. A signed statement saying that I sent you the cherry pie script on September 4th, that the file exists, that you saw it before she ever posted her video. There was a pause. I could hear Cyril's breathing. She was a good woman. She'd been my friend since we taught together at Lincoln High. She'd retired 2 years ago. She spent her time gardening and complaining about her neighbor's dog. I'll write it today, she said. I'll send it to your attorney. What else do you need? Just that, and maybe a prayer. You've got it. I hung up. I looked at my phone. No missed calls. No messages. The silence was a weapon. They were trying to starve me out. They thought if they ignored me long enough, I'd decide. They didn't know me very well. On Saturday, I drove to the Ritz-Carlton, the hotel where the gala would be held. I walked through the lobby. The carpet was thick. The chandeliers were crystal. The front desk clerk looked up when I approached. A young woman with dark hair and a name tag that read, Sarah. Can I help you, ma'am? I'm here to see the ballroom. I'm with the Heritage of Hope Foundation. I need to verify the A to V setup. Her eyes narrowed. Do you have a reservation? I'm a consultant, Tara Collins's mother-in-law. She asked me to check the equipment before the event. The lie came out smooth, easier than I expected. Sarah smiled. She knew who I was. She'd probably seen the video, but she didn't question me. She picked up the phone and called the event's manager. 30 seconds later, a man in a gray suit appeared. His name was Kevin. He had a clipboard and a headset and the ride look of someone who managed 100 details at once. Follow me, he said. He led me through the service corridor and into the ballroom. The room was empty. The chairs were stacked against the walls. The stage was the big screen was lowered in dark. I need to see the projector, I said. The sound system. The connections. Kevin showed me the AV booth. It was in the back. A small room with a window overlooking the ballroom. Inside were monitors, cables, and a server rack. He explained the setup. He showed me the HDMI input. He showed me the wireless microphone. He showed me the screen controls. I memorized everything. The location of the power strip. The placement of the speakers. The angle of the projector. Will there be someone operating the equipment on the night of the event? I asked. Kevin said. He's our guy. He'll be here from 5 until midnight. I nodded. I thanked him. I left the hotel and drove home. On Sunday, Brian showed up. He didn't call first. He just appeared at the front door. His face was pale. His eyes were hollow. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Mom, we need to talk. Come in. He walked to the kitchen. He sat at the table. He didn't take off his coat. He folded his hands on the table and stared at them. I got the cease and desist, he said. Tara's lawyer sent it to me. They said you filed a copyright claim. I did. Mom, you can't do this. She has lawyers. She has money. She has 3 million followers who will tear you up. You're going to lose. Maybe, but I'm not going to quit. He looked up. His eyes were wet. She wants to settle. She said if you drop the claim and sign a non-disclosure agreement, she'll give you $50,000. That's more than you make in a year. I stared at him. He was serious. He was sitting at my kitchen table, in the house where he'd grown up, and he was offering me hush money from the woman who had stolen my life. $50,000, I said. Wes. Tell her no. Mom, no. I don't want her money. I want the truth. I want her to stand up in front of everyone and admit what she did. He slammed his fist on the table. The coffee mug jumped. The liquid spilled across the wood. He didn't clean it up. He just sat there, breathing hard, his face red and wet. "She's my wife, Mom. She's Ciaraing my child." The words hit me like a hammer. I felt the air leave my lungs. My hands went cold. "What did you say?" "She's pregnant. We found out last week. She's having a baby. Your grandchild." I sat down. My knees buckled. I gripped the edge of the table. The coffee was pooling in front of me. I watched it drip onto the floor. I said. My voice was quiet. "You can't use that. You can't use a baby to make me back down. I'm not using anything. I'm telling you the truth. This is your family. This is your grandchild. If you do this, you'll never see them. You'll never hold that baby. You'll be a stranger." I looked at him. My son. The boy I had raised alone after Richard died. The boy who had cried when I dropped him off at kindergarten. The boy who had brought me breakfast in bed on Mother's Day. He was sitting across from me. And he was threatening me with his unborn child. "I love you," I said. "I love you more than anything in this world. But I can't let her win. Then you'll lose me." I felt something break inside my chest, a crack, a fracture. I had spent 32 years loving that boy. I had sacrificed everything for him. And he was telling me that it wasn't enough. It had never been enough. "I already lost you," I said, "the day you mama-ried her." He stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. He walked to the door. He stopped with his hand on the knob. "Think about the baby, Mom. Think about your grandchild. Is this really the legacy you want to leave?" He left. The door closed behind him. I sat at the table. The coffee was still dripping onto the floor. I didn't move to clean it up. I couldn't move. I couldn't feel my hands. A baby. Tiara was Ciaraing my grandchild. She was going to raise that child. She was going to tell that child stories. Stories about her grandmother. Stories about how she had built her empire. None of it true, all of it stolen. I walked to the gire. I opened the filing cabinet. I pulled out the folder. The thick, heavy manila folder with all my work, all my drafts, all my years of effort. I spread them across the workbench. I looked at them, page after page, word after word. I thought about the baby. I thought about the future. I thought about the legacy. Then I thought about my grandmother. The woman who had taught me to bake. The woman who had told me stories under the gas lamp during the war. The woman who had died before she could see me become anything. She deserved better than to be erased. She deserved better than to have her memory stolen and repackaged by a woman who never knew her. I closed the folder. I locked the cabinet. I walked back inside. I picked up my phone. I called Linda. "She's pregnant," I said. Linda said. "I heard. Her lawyer called me this morning. She's trying to use it as leverage." "Is it true?" "It's true. She's 12 weeks along. She's going to have the baby in April." I sat down on the sofa. The cushions sagged beneath me. I stared at the ceiling. "She's going to raise that child," I said. "She's going to tell that child that I was a bitter old woman, that I was jealous of her success, that I tried to destroy her. She's going to do that anyway, whether you fight or not." I closed my eyes. I thought about the baby. I thought about Brian. I thought about my grandmother. I thought about all the hours I'd spent in this kitchen. The late nights, the early mornings, the TARs over burned crusts and failed recipes, the joy of getting it right, the pride of creating something from nothing. "I'm not going to stop," I said. "I didn't think you would." I hung up. I walked to the kitchen. I opened the drawer where I kept my calendar. I looked at the date. 7 days until the gala. 7 days until I played the tapes. I pulled out a piece of paper. I started writing the speech I would give. The speech I would deliver after the evidence played. The speech that would destroy Tiara's reputation and set my truth free. I wrote for 3 hours. I wrote until my hand cramped. I wrote until the words blurred. I wrote until I had a document so powerful that no lawyer, no unborn child could stand in its way. I saved the speech to the AR drive. I made a third backup. I put it in my purse, the purse I would see to the gala. On Monday I went back to the library. Jenny was at the front desk. She looked at me with worried eyes. "Collins, I heard what happened." "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry, Jenny. I'm going to be fine." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." I went to the basement. I sat in the quiet corner. I pulled out my laptop. I rearranged the speech. I timed it. 8 minutes. I could do it. I had to do it. On Tuesday I went to the gay rage. I organized the folder one more time. I put everything in chronological order. I labeled each piece of evidence with a number. I created a master index, a roadmap for the audience. On Wednesday, I went to the bank. I checked the safety deposit box. The AR drive was still there. The third backup on Thursday. I went to the Ritz Ca. I walked through the lobby. Sarah was at the front desk. She saw me and smiled. "Back again, Collins. I need to check the projector one more time." "Kevin said I could." She nodded. She called Kevin. He met me in the ballroom. I walked through the A to V setup. I tested the HDMI cable with my laptop. The screen flickered to life. My face appa. I clicked through the slides, the evidence, the receipts, the emails. Everything looks good, Kevin said. It looks perfect, I said on Friday. Linda called. The judge granted a temporary restraining order on her defamation claim. She can't speak publicly about you until the hearing. It's not a permanent win. But it's something. She's going to be furious. She's going to be at the gala tomorrow night. Are you ready? I've never been more ready in my life. I hung up. I walked to the kitchen. I poured myself a glass of water. I drank it standing at the sink. The house was dark, the silence was heavy. I had been alone for a long time. I had been alone since Richard died. I had been alone since Brian grew up. I had been alone since Tara walked into my kitchen and took everything I had. But I wasn't alone tomorrow. Tomorrow, I would have 200 witnesses, 200 faces looking up at me. 200 people who would see the truth. I walked to my bedroom. I laid out my dress, a navy blue sheath, the same one I'd worn to the last gala. It was the only formal dress I owned. It was the dress that had been torn when Tara grabbed me. I'd sewn the rip. The stitches were visible. I didn't see her, I wanted them visible. I wanted everyone to see what she had done to me. I set my alarm for 6 in the morning. I climbed into bed. I stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow I would destroy her. Tomorrow, I would save myself. Tomorrow, I would do what I should have done the day she uploaded her first stolen video. Tomorrow I would press play. The valet took my keys. I watched him drive my Honda into the rocking garage. It looked out of place among the Mercedes and the Teslas. I smoothed the front of my navy dress. The stitches held. The rip was invisible now, but I knew it was there, a scar. Like the one on my palm from the night I dug my nails in so hard I drew blood. I walked through the glass doors of the Ritz, Carlton. The lobby was buzzing, women in gowns. The air smelled like expensive perfume and champagne. I walked toward the ballroom. My heels clicked on the Mama Arbel. Click, click. I counted the steps. 47 from the entrance to the ballroom doors. The doors were open. The room was half full. The stage was lit. The big screen was dark. I scanned the room. I saw the mayor at the front table, the city council, the heads of the Arts Council, the women from my book club. They were wearing sequins and diamonds. They were drinking wine and laughing. They didn't see me yet. I found my table. The family table. It was in the back, the athest from the stage, the least desirable seat in the house. I sat down. The chair was cold. The linen was stiff. I placed my purse on my lap. The hard drive was inside. The speech was inside. The evidence was inside. RJ Rett was at the table. She was wearing a beaded jacket and a sour expression. She looked at me like I was a stray dog that had wandered into the PA Roddy. Ah, she said. Her voice was flat. I didn't think you'd come. I wouldn't miss it. She didn't respond. She turned to the woman next to her and started whispering. I didn't see her. I looked at the stage. The screen was still dark. The podium was empty. The microphone was waiting. Brian walked in. He was wearing a tuxedo. His hair was combed. His face was clean-shaven. He looked like the man I had raised. He looked like a stranger. He walked to the table. He sat down in the chair next to me. He didn't say hello. He didn't look at me. He stared at the stage. You shouldn't be here, he said. I was invited. She doesn't want you here. I know. He turned to me. His eyes were red. He hadn't slept. I could see the bags under his eyes, the lines around his mouth. The stress was eating him alive. Mom, please, he just go home. Don't do this. Don't ruin everything. I looked at him. My son, the boy I had ride in my body, the boy I had fed and clothed and loved, the boy who was begging me to disappear. Brian, I said. You don't have to sit here. You can go to the bar. You can go to the pier rocking lot. You can go home. But I'm not leaving. He opened his mouth to a raga. Then he closed it. He knew. He knew I wasn't going to back down. He knew I had come here to finish what I rotted. Tara. She was wearing a white dress. White. Innocence. Purity. A bride at her own coronation. Her hair was blonde and perfect. Her smile was wide and hungry. She walked to the front table. The mayor stood up to greet her. The city council applauded. She was the star. She was the sun. I watched her. She looked happy. She looked victorious. She looked like she had already won. She hadn't won, not yet. The dinner rotted. The waiters brought out salads, then soup, then chicken with asparagus. I ate mechanically. The food had no taste. I chewed and swallowed. I drank water. I kept my purse on my lap. RJ Rett talked to the woman on her left. Brian stared at his plate. Tara laughed at the front table. The mayor told a joke. Everyone laughed. The plates were clear red. The MC took the stage. The same man with the bad tan and too much hair gel. He tapped the microphone. The room hushed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Heritage of Hope Foundation Gala. Tonight, we celebrate the stories that bind us, the traditions that sustain us, and the incredible woman who has dedicated her life to preserving them. The crowd applauded. I clapped too, my palms hit each other. The sound was hollow. Please welcome our guest of honor, Tiara Collins. The lights dimmed. The spotlight hit the front table. Tiara stood up. She walked to the stage. Her white dress caught the light. She was glowing, she was radiant. She took the podium. She adjusted the microphone. She smiled at the crowd. Thank you all for being here, she said. Tonight is about heritage. About the recipes that have been passed down through generations. About the stories that make us who we are. I reached into my purse. My fingers closed around the hard drive. The plastic was cold. The weight was familiar. I want to share a story, Tira said. A story about my grandmother. A story about a cherry pie baked under the light of a full moon. I stood up. The chair scraped against the floor. The sound echoed through the room. Heads turned. I felt the weight of their eyes on me. Tiara looked at me. Her smile flickered. A crack in the ma, she said. Her voice was sheer. What are you doing? I'm telling a story, I said. The story you stole. I walked to the stage. My heels clicked on the floor. I climbed the steps. My knee popped. I gripped the podium. I looked at the crowd. 200 faces. All of them staring at me. Ladies and gentlemen, I said. I'm Arna. I'm Tiara's mother-in-law, and I'm the person she stole from. Tiara grabbed my arm. Her nails bit into my skin. Don't listen to her, she said. She's unstable, she's jealous. She's been trying to destroy me for years. I pulled my arm free. I reached into my purse. I pulled out the hard drive. You want to talk about heritage? I said. You want to talk about tradition? Let me show you what heritage really looks like. I held up the AR drive. The crowd was silent. I could hear my own breathing. I could hear the hum of the projector. I called. Plug this in. Kevin didn't move. He was standing by the AV booth. His face was pale. Tiara was shaking her head. The MC was yelling something I couldn't hear. I'm sorry, Mrs. Collins, Kevin said. Why not? Because she paid me not to. He looked at Tiara. She said you'd try something. She said to make sure nothing plugged in. The room erupted. Voices. The mayor stood up. The city council, my book club. They were looking at Tiara. They were looking at me. Tiara laughed. That tinkling laugh. It was louder now. See? She said. She's making a scene. She's trying to destroy me. But I have proof. I have lawyer. I have everything. I turned to the AV booth. I walked toward it. Tiara tried to block me. I pushed past her. She grabbed my dress. The fabric strained. I heard the stitches pop. The rip opened again. I didn't see Tiara. I reached the booth. Kevin stepped back. I pulled the HDMI cable from the server. I plugged it into my laptop. I opened the presentation. I pressed play. The screen flickered to life. My face. My voice crackled through the speakers. The raw footage, the unedited video. Me in my kitchen, bad lighting, nervous voice, talking about the cherry pie, talking about my grandmother, talking about the moon. The room went silent. This is me, I said. Jalewuth, Artini Sir. The first draft, the screen changed. The script, my handwritten notes, the date, August Senrad, I said. The first recording, another video. My voice again, crackling perfect. The same words, the same story, the same jokes. November Shortha, I said. See? The one with 3 million views. The side-by-side comparison appa read. My face on the left, her face on the right. The same words, the same phrasing. The same mistakes. I heard someone gasp. RGA Rhett cry out. I heard Brian's chair scrape against the floor. I said. You stole my grandmother. You stole my stories. You stole my life. And you told everyone I was the thief. She was shaking her head. Her perfect blonde hair was falling out of its pins. Her white dress was wrinkled. Her eyes were wild. You're lying, she said. You're making this up. You're crazy. I clicked to the next slide. The receipts, the credit card statements, the flights, the dinners, the kitchen renovation. I have proof, I said. I have everything. The scripts, the videos, the emails, the witnesses, the bank statements. I have 7 years of evidence that proves you are nothing but a thief. The mayor stood up. Is this true? Asked. Tiara didn't answer. She couldn't. The words were stuck in her throat. She can't answer, I said. Because she knows it's true. She knows she stole from me. She knows she built her career on my work. And she knows that I'm not gonna let her get away with it. The crowd was shouting now. Accusations, denials. The MC was trying to restore order. The mayor was demanding answers. Tiara ran. She ran off the stage. Her heels clattered on the marble. She pushed through the crowd. She disappeared through the service door. Brian was standing in front of me. His face was a wreck. Tears and confusion and shame. He said, I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know. You should have known? I said. You should have seen it. You should have believed me. I believe you now. It's too late. I walked off the stage. The crowd parodied, they stared at me. They whispered, I didn't say. I walked through the ballroom, through the lobby, through the glass doors. The night air was cold. I walked to the valet. I handed him the ticket. He brought my Honda around. I got in the driver's seat. I closed the door. I sat in the dar. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I had done it. I had shown them everything. I had told the truth. I stay rotted the car. I drove home on empty roads. The Ritz Ca Ralton glittered in my rear view mirror. I didn't look back. I walked into my house. The kitchen was dark. The house was quiet. I went to the garage. I opened the filing cabinet. I looked at the folder that held my life. I closed the drawer. I locked the cabinet. I walked back inside. I poured myself a glass of water. I drank it standing at the sink. The house was empty. Brian was still at the hotel, probably crying, probably apologizing, probably realizing that he had lost both of us. I went to my bedroom. I sat on the edge of the bed. I looked at my hands. They were still shaking. I pressed them flat against my thighs. I had destroyed her. I had shown the world who she really was, but the victory felt hollow, empty. Like I had won a duel and lost everything else. I closed my eyes. I thought about the baby, the grandchild I would never hold, the son who would never look at me the same way. The family that was now shattered beyond repair. I had done what I needed to do. I had told the truth. I had protected my grandmother's memory. I had stood up for myself, but I had paid a price. The price was everything. I lay down on the bed. I stared at the ceiling. The darkness pressed down on me. I didn't sleep. I just lay there, breathing, waiting for the dawn to come. I woke to sunlight, the gray kind. The kind that filters through clouds and makes everything look washed out. I sat up in bed. My neck was stiff. My eyes were dry. I had slept in my dress. The navy sheath was wrinkled. The tiara was open again. I ran my fingers over the ripped fabric. The stitches had given way. I showered. I put on jeans and a sweater. I made coffee. I drank it standing at the sink. The house was quiet. The kitchen was clean. The calendar on the wall still had yesterday's date, Morocco. I reached up and crossed it out with a pen. The ink bled through the paper. My phone buzzed. Linda, I answered. You did it, she said. It's everywhere. Every news site, every social media platform. The video of her running off the stage has 7 million views. Her sponsors are redropping her. The book deal is cancelled. The foundation is cutting ties. I listened. I didn't feel anything, no joy, no satisfaction, just a flat, hollow empty. She's filing for bankruptcy, Linda continued. Her lawyer called me this morning. She wants to settle. She'll sign anything. She'll admit to everything. She just wants this to go away. Tell her no. What? No settlement. No money. I want her to stand up in court and say it, in front of a judge, in front of a record. I want it on paper, permanent. Arda, that's going to drag this out for months. I don't say. I hung up. I finished my coffee. I washed the mug. I set it in the drying rack. The doorbell rang. I walked to the front door. I opened it. Brian was standing on the porch. His eyes were swollen. His hair was uncombed. He was wearing the same clothes from last night. He looked like he had been crying for hours. He said, "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. He walked into the living room. He stood in the middle of the floor. He didn't sit down. He just stood there, his hands hanging at his sides. She left, he said. She packed a bag and drove to her mother's house in Florida. She's not coming back. I know. How do you know? Because she's a coward. She's always been a coward. She steals other people's work because she can't do anything on her own. She runs away because she can't face the consequences. Brian flinched. His face crumpled. The terrace started again. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. I should have listened. I should have seen what she was doing. Should have, I said. You had 3 hours, Brian. 3 hours to look at the evidence. 3 hours to ask questions. 3 hours to see the woman you were married to. I was blind. I was in love. I thought she was special. She was special. She was special at taking things that didn't belong to her. I walked to the kitchen. He followed. I poured him a cup of coffee. He took it. He held it with both hands. The mug trembled. I lost everything, he said. My wife. My job. I got fired this morning. The firm said they couldn't have someone with my kind of scandal. I looked at him. My Ishana RVA art lawyer, the golden boy. He had been stripped of everything. His status, his wife. And he was standing in my kitchen, begging me for forgiveness. I'm sorry about your job, I said. I'm sorry about your wife. But I'm not sorry for what I did. I know. Do you? Do you understand why I did it? He looked at me. His eyes were red. Because she stole from you. Because she stole from me. Because she stole from your grandmother. Because she took the only thing I had left and turned it into a lie. And I couldn't let that stand. I couldn't let her erase the one person who made me who I am. Brian set the mug down. He walked over to me. He put his arms around me. He hugged me. It was the first time he had hugged me in years. I felt his shoulders shake. I felt his tears soak into my sweater. "I'm sorry, Mom," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." I hugged him back. I held him, the boy I had raised, the man he had become, the son who had lost his way. "I love you," I said. "I always have. I always will. But I can't fix this for you. You have to fix it yourself." He pulled back. He nodded. He wiped his face with his sleeve. "I'm going to go to therapy," he said. "I'm going to figure out why I let this happen, why I let her manipulate me, why I turned my back on you. That's a good start. I'll make it right. I don't know how. But I'll try." He left. I watched him walk to his car. He got in. He sat in the driver's seat for a long time. He didn't start the engine. He just sat there. Then he started the car and drove away. The next week was a blur. Tara signed the confession. She admitted to everything. The plagiarism. The defamation. She signed it in front of a notary. She mailed it to Linda. She was done. The copyright claim was granted. I owned the scripts, I owned the videos, I owned the stories. Tara's social media accounts were deleted. Her videos were taken down. Her website was scrubbed. She disappeared from the internet like she had never existed. My channel started growing. The video of me confronting her at the gala had gone viral. People wanted to see more. They wanted to hear my stories. They wanted to know the real recipes, the real history, the real me. I made a new video. I stood in my kitchen. The same kitchen where I had filmed the original cherry pie video. The same bad lighting, the same nervous voice. "My name is Mara Collins," I said. "And I'm going to tell you the truth about my grandmother's cherry pie." The video got 1 million views in 3 days. I started getting emails. People from all over the world. They told me their stories. They told me how they had been stolen from, how they had been silenced, how they had been accused of plagiarism, when they were the ones who had been robbed. I read every email, I answered every one. It became my routine morning coffee. Then emails. Then filming. I built a community. A community of people who had been wronged and had found a voice. Argerette came by on a Sunday. She brought a casserole. She sat at my kitchen table. She apologized. She said she was wrong. She said she was sorry for not standing by me. I accepted her apology. I didn't forgive her. Not completely, but I accepted it. The weeks turned into months. The leaves fell. The snow came. The snow melted. Spring arrived. I was sitting in my backyard under the old oak tree. My laptop was on my lap. I was writing a new script, a series called The Rightful Plate. It was about reclaiming the recipes that had been stolen. It was about giving credit where credit was due. It was about standing up for yourself. Brian called. He was in therapy. He was healing. He asked if he could come for dinner on Sunday. I said yes. I set the table 3 places. Me, Brian, and the ghost of Richard. I lit the candles. I served the pot roast. Brian talked about his therapy. He talked about his regrets. He talked about the baby. I got a letter from Tara's lawyer. He said, "She wants me to sign over my parental rights." I set my fork down. "I don't know," he said. "I want to be a father. But I don't want to be connected to her. I don't want to raise a child with a woman who did what she did." "Then don't. You don't have to. You can be a father without being her husband." He looked at me. His eyes were still sad. But there was something else there, something new, a flicker of hope. "Mom," he said, "I'm scared of messing up. I'm scared of being like her. I'm scared of being like me." "You're not her?" I said. "You made mistakes. But you're not her. And you can be a good father. I know you can, because I raised you. And I raised you to be a good man." He didn't cry this time. He just smiled, a small, fragile smile. It was enough. The summer came. I turned 63. I had a birthday party at the house. Came. Jenny from the library came. Sierra came from Minnesota. Linda came. Brian came. The cake was homemade. My grandmother's recipe. The one from the cherry pie video. I looked around the room. The faces of the people I loved. The people who had stayed. The people who had come back. The people who had believed me. I made a speech. I stood up at the head of the table. I raised my glass, to the truth, I said, and to the courage to tell it. Everyone raised their glasses. They clink. I sat down. I looked at the cake. The candles were lit. The frosting was perfect. I blew out the candles. I made a wish. I didn't tell anyone what it was. That night, I sat alone in my kitchen. The dishes were done. The guests were gone. I poured myself a glass of wine. I drank it slowly. I looked out the window. The moon was full. The same moon that my grandmother had baked under during the war. The same moon that I had written about in my scripts. The same moon that Tiara had stolen. But the moon wasn't hers. It had never been hers. It was mine. It was my grandmother's. It was everyone's. She had stolen the words. She had stolen the stories. She had stolen the credit. But she could not steal the moon. She could not steal the truth. She could not steal the memories that lived inside me. I finished my wine. I rinsed the glass. I set it in the drying rack. I walked to the garage. I opened the filing cabinet. I pulled out the folder. The thick, heavy manila folder. I held it in my hands. I opened it. I looked at the scripts, the drafts, the receipts, the evidence, the 7 years of my life. I smiled. It wasn't a bitter smile. It was a peaceful one. I closed the folder. I put it back in the cabinet. I locked the drawer. I walked back inside. The house was quiet. The moon was bright. I climbed the stairs. I lay down in my bed. I closed my eyes. I had been invisible. I had been silent. I had been the old lady jotting down notes on post-its. But I was not invisible anymore. I had found my voice. I had told my story. I had taken back what was mine. And I would never let anyone take it from me again. They took my scripts. They took my words. They took my family. But they couldn't take my truth. Because truth is the one thing you can't steal. You can only borrow it for a while. And then it comes due with interest. I learned that you can't protect your soul by being quiet. You can't protect your family by letting them walk all over you. The bravest thing you can do is to stand up and say, "This is me." And I did. I stood up, I pressed, and I took it all back. What would you have done? Would you have kept the secret? Would you have let her win? Or would you have pressed play too? Drop your verdict in the comments below. Because I know I'm not the only one who's had to fight for the story of her own life.